Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mobile Studio. And today we're here with a brand new video for you guys. We're going to be talking about When Calls to the Heart, Season 8, Episode 5. And I'm here with my mom, Stacy. Thanks for joining me.
Hey guys.
So we watched this episode Sunday Night Live. And I thought this episode was a decent one. We were just talking before this, how this season is just going by slower in certain aspects. I feel like almost it feels like the love triangle is taking up too much time that other storylines aren't getting as much development or maybe as much as we would want, like the whole like Rosemary and Lee and Rachel thing. I felt like we didn't even get a conversation between them, or maybe we missed something, but like we didn't get a conversation between them after Rachel tried to run away. I just felt like some things were like almost getting chopped off, or maybe I just felt like there were some things it's because the love triangle is taking up a lot of it. What do you think of the episode?
I agree that it's definitely feels slow in a lot of regards. We've talked about this before. It seems like this whole relationship thing has taken up so much time, and it seems like something already should have happened, maybe even at the end of last season. But it's still going on, and everything else is just not getting the attention that I would like it to. So I'd like to see other character stories developing and getting more attention than the triangle or the relationship. Now it's not a triangle, I guess, but the relationship. So
yeah, now it's not, but Paula's still like there's still those triangle vibes, but it seems like she's leaning more towards a person finally.
Yep.
And we'll talk about that at the end, but I thought the whole graduation thing, while it was sweet, I thought it deserved more time than that. I just felt like it was almost kind of like a rushed plot into it, and like I felt like a graduation, like because like a few characters are like moving off to college. I almost felt like we deserved a little bit more than what they gave us. Like I almost wanted more time to see that graduation. Although I thought like the thing that Robert orchestrated with the kids was cute, the whole song.
Sweet. Mm-hmm.
I still felt like, and maybe a few other things I liked, I still felt like graduation deserved a little bit more. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that the thing I thought was weirdest about graduation was this gentleman who came in. I mean, I guess if we had a little bit of backstory about him, because you could tell that it looked like Elizabeth knew who he was and why he was there, but we didn't have a clue. So I thought that was a really weird scene. So, and I'm not sure if it was needed, if it's going to come about, in the future, that's going to be more of a part of the show. It seems like they should have had already introduced it before graduation.
Yeah. And I don't know if this was just like a one-time thing because he was kind of being creepy. I don't know if he was in it before or not.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, I feel like Elizabeth has had like a few like city people that she's like has a few well, not enemies but frenemies with certain people from her past that don't necessarily agree with her teaching ability. And of course this guy is one of the same because he brings up the whole blind student thing. I don't know what he was doing there. Did you like the whole song that the kids sang to her?
Yeah, I thought that was really, really sweet. So it definitely gave credit to her that she's a really good teacher. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. And then I wanted to say that I feel like when it comes to, I'm excited to see like Elizabeth be able to teach Angela and Minnie helping. Yeah. I'm just hoping that it gets like a good amount of time and that it's not like just like Elizabeth helping Angela on the sidelines. It's more like Angela also gets to progress as a character, and Minnie gets to as well when she starts to lean off of her very protective side a little bit. But I think that that's one thing that they're going to do. I think that they're going to give this family good importance to the story because I feel like they have their first diverse family. Mm-hmm. They have their first like black family in the show. So I think they're going to treat them good. What do you say? So
I think so, and I think they've actually done a great job introducing this family and starting to develop a story that will continue forward. And I'm looking forward to seeing how Angela does with school and how her mom does handle that and start to step away, and maybe even see her develop, a little more in whatever she decides she wants to be or do.
We do see that apparently she's going to be, I guess, teaching like Angela Braille, which I think will be interesting to see if that's something that they continue on with. I am excited to see that. Overall, I think the graduation element and the whole Elizabeth, I think we got I almost felt like I think Elizabeth got a little bit of outlook being a teacher, because that's like what she really truly enjoys, and you can tell that she was overjoyed at the graduation. She had like this high pitched voice that felt like the whole time. So I think that she did. I think that she truly does care about her passion. I like that they threw a few things in there to show that that is her passion, because recently, or at least this season, we haven't seen much of the school side, and it's been a while since we've seen like a lot of the school side. Or did you like how we kind of got back to that with Elizabeth also being a teacher?
I do, because sometimes it feels like you're thinking, okay, kids are supposed to be in school every day, and we're not seeing anything to do with school. So yeah, I did like that there was more school stuff going on.
And it was already graduation, so
yeah.
I'm not sure if Robert, the actor who plays Robert, will be in the show anymore.
Yeah, that's interesting. We'll see.
I remember last season he brought up the whole Mountie thing, but it looks like he decided not to do that.
Yeah.
So, and then there's another, I don't remember her name, but there was 2 kids graduating, and then everyone else is moving up a grade. So I thought we would go ahead and talk about the Elizabeth and Nathan side, because it kind of ties into this, because she has to have, I was kind of excited because she was going to have a parent-teacher conference with Nathan.
Yeah.
I was a little bit, I think I liked how Nathan is starting to become a little bit better, because he was very like salty to Elizabeth in that scene. Would you agree?
Yeah.
I do understand that he's hurt, but like, yeah, he was definitely having an attitude, and we've seen that side of him before. As like when Elizabeth came back from her date with Lucas last season, he had a big attitude, and I think it's just like it's the way he's playing off. Lucas doesn't really have an attitude, as far as we know. Nathan, I think he's just been hurt so many times that he just has kind of like had that attitude before. I did like how I think that the whole. What do you think of the whole scene? They're technically like parent-teacher conference.
Yeah, so Nathan doesn't show up, and he feels justified because he's been, hurt, and as we find out, and maybe we'll talk about this a little bit more later, he does feel some remorse for not showing up, so that's good. I mean, I think he's a good guy overall. I like him.
Yeah. I think I do like how, Elizabeth told Nathan that he needs to be the father that Allie deserves, and letting her do accelerated math, for instance, and being by her side. I did like that. And I'm assuming that by the end of the season he'll have officially adopted Allie. Yeah. But I'm assuming that Allie's dad, Nathan's brother-in-law, is going to come back into the picture before that official adoption can happen, or that could be done. But I almost feel like they would have a moment with. Or have a moment with Allie and her dad, and maybe they can start to make amends. But who knows? Nathan and Allie could be leaving town if Elizabeth chooses Lucas. But we'll talk about that at the end. We'll move on to the whole Rosemary, Lee, and Rachel thing. So as we know from the last episode, we see that Rachel's going to come live with them, which I thought was kind of weird. Susanna just thought Rachel would strive better in Hope Valley than with her, because Susanna was very strict and she was definitely rude to Rosemary. Never was a huge fan of her character. She was just very she was definitely mean to Rosemary.
I agree.
So Dottie's selling the dress shop, and I think that this actually kind of ties into the ending scene with Jesse and Clara, because this is one of the more interesting storylines, I think. Who's what's going on with the whole dress shop thing. So yeah, Dottie has sold it, and I don't know. I don't think she's going to be making an appearance. It's been a while since I've seen her, so I don't know why this is coming about now. Why would she probably wants to move on with her life, when she's not there to work the dress shop.
Yeah, well, she hasn't been there. So so we kind of get this vibe that first we're thinking, did Lee buy it for Rosemary? And then at the end, we kind of think, did Jesse buy it for Clara? I don't know.
I guess Clara has been becoming more involved in there, and I think I would, if Rosemary kind of handed it down to Clara, if they were able to save it, I think I would like that. Especially if Rosemary gets if Rosemary and Lee adopt a baby, maybe Rosemary will give Clara the dress shop, and Clara will get to run it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm surprised it took them this long to get to the wholesaling the dress shop thing. I just felt like it kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, yeah, I'm interested to see what's happening. Rachel thinks that because the dress shop's closing, that she won't have a reason to stick around there anymore because what she enjoyed in Hope Valley, that's one of the things gone, her main thing. So she tries to run away, but Rosemary and Lee find her, and then they don't have a conversation about afterwards about why she ran away.
Yeah, that's odd.
But what did you think of, like, do you think she necessarily, what did you think of Rachel running away?
Well, I mean, it was kind of odd. I mean, here she's in a place that she doesn't know at all, and that she would go off out in the wilderness by herself was weird. That they didn't try to make sure she was safe the whole day long was a little weird. Yeah, I'm not sure. I thought that whole thing was kind of played out a little bit weird.
Yeah, I felt like it was like too rushed too. Like if we were gonna see Rosemary and Lee almost like be like parents technically, like guardians to Rachel, but we just haven't. Maybe eventually we'll get there, but it feels like we haven't gotten that yet. I'm almost hoping like this leads them to realizing that they need like a baby in their life. But yeah, I want more of that whole thing because I just felt like it was kind of rushed and how they didn't even have a conversation afterwards asking why she ran away was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Next thing I want to talk about is that Bill is in his is like trying on the Mountie uniform again, so he's kind of like feeling like the vibes that maybe he wants to. I'm not necessarily maybe become a Mountie, but I think it was almost like just like reliving his.
Yeah, I think so.
His memories. Yep. I don't think it's going to lead there. I don't think that. I think I would rather see Bill and Molly, but I'll wait for that in a second because I don't think I think Molly just wants Bill, not Mountie Bill.
Right.
But I did like how we finally saw Bill in a red serge because we haven't seen him in one ever. I don't think maybe like earlier on, but it's definitely been a while.
Maybe. But,
so I wanted to say that the whole scene with at the barber shop when Claire was cutting Molly's hair and they were talking, and we'll talk about the whole cutting hair off thing in a second, but Bill walks in and Molly throws the sheet over her head and they exchange and Bill and Claire exchange casual words. Then Bill says, "Hi Molly," and walks out the store. What do you think of that?
Oh, that was just a classic funny moment. Yeah, and of course Molly was super embarrassed, which made it even funnier. So yeah.
Yeah, well, and then Claire cut off some of Molly's hair.
Yeah, I think it got burnt off. She was trying to straighten it. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, so poor Molly, she lost a little bit of hair this episode. She gained a dress last episode. She lost some hair this episode. I feel like I'm excited to see Molly and Bill in their romance pursuit. But here's the thing when it comes to Fiona's not in the story or like she's not really involved anymore. I wonder if she'll come back or not. But Claire is like kind of like now taking over, and she's not necessarily a good like hair cutter, so she's not really qualified. But yeah, Molly's hair gets cut off, and then meanwhile we hear a big scream, and then it cuts to different places in town. Questioning that. But it looks like Hickam might have a little crush on Fiona.
And I was kind of thinking that might be the case. So yeah, so that's kind of come about now. All these little romances, side romances.
A lot of romances, but of course they're not getting the attention. I mean, well, the one thing that I think they have done well this season is teasing the little romances to come.
Yeah.
And I do like that. But speaking of little romances, Ned and Florence also had a moment because Ned was delivering mail and Florence said Ned needed to take it easy, and they even held hands.
Yes, they did.
Not necessarily intentionally, but you could tell that both of them were into it because they didn't take their hands off of each other. And Carson and Faith walked in on them having that moment.
Yep, it was funny.
I do like how Florence is definitely being less. I do like how Florence is not really being gossipy, and Ned's definitely not gossipy.
Right.
So to see that little romance blossom is cute. I do like how Florence and Molly are getting more screen time this season.
Definitely.
Because we haven't really been seeing them do much throughout the first 7 seasons, except the town gossip.
Yes.
So I'm surprised that we're getting a lot of screen time with them. I do really like that.
Yeah.
When I talk about Carson and Faith, so Carson receives an opportunity to go to another town. I don't remember the exact opportunity. He wants Faith to join him. And I do understand where she's coming from because she's kind of hesitant to go because they're not married yet, and she's like her home is in Hope Valley.
Yeah.
All of her friends are there, and I do like how we're getting like Clara, Faith, and then formerly Fiona, but like the girl gang and talking about their problems with men in life. If only Rosemary, she doesn't need to tag on to those because she doesn't really have those type of problems because her and Leah are pretty solid.
Yeah, she's at a different point in her relationship.
Yeah, and Elizabeth definitely doesn't need to go on with them because she's not even in a stable relationship.
Exactly.
But I do like how it was just those three girls and those two girls because if Molly and Florence got involved, it would be to get to a whole other level.
Interesting, definitely.
I kind of wish that Abigail was still in the show for certain moments, like helping Claire out maybe with like this kind of stuff because her mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, and like maybe like helping Bill out a little bit and helping Elizabeth out too. I just think that there's certain things that I just wish that I just wish that we got more scenes.
Speaking of Abigail, though, Abigail's name came up this time.
She did. It did come up.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and talk about.
Yeah. So after we find out about Clara's lack of haircutting ability, Bill broaches the subject of possibly having her partner with him in the cafe, and she seems to like that idea. And this is when that whole Jesse's kind of, I don't know about this because he's got something going on the side, but we'll talk about that later. But he says, well, I just need to get a hold of Abigail and see what Abigail's thoughts are on it. And so, yeah, so it was kind of neat to hear a little bit about Abigail. And
even though it's not.
Yeah, so.
Lori Loughlin, like there has been rumors that she might come back for like season 9, maybe. I mean, she is released from prison officially. We're not really going to talk about that because that's like personal things. But she is released from prison, so maybe that's a sign that eventually she might come back into the show. Probably, definitely not this season but maybe next season, maybe in the future. I mean, she doesn't have like the Aunt Becky portrayal anymore. So this would be like, and I think that her character was really good, easily one of the best ones in the show before it, and I think that it has gone on without her. It's just still sad that she's not in it anymore. So I wanted to I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Jesse and Claire, that whole scene at the end, it seemed like Jesse might have a little plan. Because he might have bought the dress shop for Claire, and that's where all their money went.
Maybe. We hope.
I think Jesse is smart enough not to make like a dumb mistake
and lose
anymore.
all the money. Yeah,
because
hopefully not.
And then Claire kicked him out of the house. Which, I mean, what do you think of that?
Well, so their life savings is gone. He didn't talk with her. I mean, she was upset. So yeah, she kicked him out. Whether that was right or not, I don't know. But when you're talking about your life savings, that's something you talk to your spouse about.
And she didn't, but
before you spend it.
She didn't necessarily give him a chance to explain his.
Yeah, she was just pretty upset. So, and she's young, so.
Yeah, so I don't know what that's gonna be about, but I mean, I'm assuming they're not gonna get divorced. I know they're gonna work their issues out. Maybe will. Next episode. It was just definitely like a big thing, like because now they're having this big like argument. I mean, we've seen like some rough patches where they slept in different rooms, but nothing like. When it came to this, where like he had to leave it wasn't really a house; it was a.
Well, they live up above it, but yeah.
So now let's talk about before we talk about the whole Elizabeth and Lucas thing. Lucas and Carson have an interesting conversation. I was not expecting this, but Carson is like trying to figure out whether to take this opportunity or not, and Lucas kind of gives his advice, and it almost sounded like maybe he's just. I mean, it's pretty obvious that the only thing that's in town that interests him is Elizabeth, and it makes it sound like like if Elizabeth wasn't there, he wouldn't be in town. If Elizabeth wasn't like suited for him, then he wouldn't be in town. So maybe he doesn't necessarily think of this as his town yet, and he is newer, and like that. I don't know. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's there because of he's staying put at least because of Elizabeth, but Carson's kind of questioning, would I be better off somewhere else? Because his heart's in being a surgeon. So
you mean Lucas, or are you talking about?
Carson. Yeah. Carson was kind of asking him about it, so I was just kind of bringing Carson back into it.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
I was unexpected. We never even had them have a one-on-one scene before, so that was kind of interesting. The whole Elizabeth and Lucas thing. He does ask her out on a date, and like I think that I did like their scenes together this episode because while Nathan was being salty, Lucas was definitely being very generous. And like they had like a little like I mean, she definitely cheated in their horseback race by having him like look
Had
at
some
something.
flirtations.
Definitely some flirtations. And I think it's like cute stuff, you know, like they're them going out like on rides, and then that dinner scene, like you can tell that for a second Elizabeth was worried that it would go too fast because Lucas is like a little bit like he moves a little bit faster than Nathan.
Yeah, definitely.
Which, but I think his pace is like decent at this point. And she says she doesn't want she wants things to move slow, and he says we have all the time in the world, and they hold hands. And like it was like a cute dinner scene too. It kind of replicated Elizabeth and Jack's almost scene. I don't know if that's a big parallel, but what did you think of their dinner scene?
I thought it was very sweet, very romantic. But yeah, now that you mentioned that, it does remind me. I'd forgotten all about the one with Jack, with the backyard lit up, and yeah, it was good though. I thought it was sweet, and I thought he definitely went above and beyond to try to impress her.
But the question I have for you is, does this change our opinion about? Because we're still Team Nathan.
Yes.
Correct. Lucas has definitely, I think, like risen up the standards. I do think that Elizabeth is going to choose Nathan. I think that is what's going to happen at the end. Although, in the previous for next episode, we see that they like are leaning in for a kiss in the rain. So like I don't know if like I mean I don't think they're gonna kiss honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it is mid-season, so maybe they'll kiss, but like it could be like a replica. Like Elizabeth runs off from Lucas after he tries to kiss her in the soaking rain. Like a parallel to Elizabeth running after Nathan, and maybe because it was son with Nathan, maybe that's like means that she could choose Nathan.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know.
I mean, what do you think? Do you think they'll actually kiss, or do you think it'll just be like Elizabeth will pull away?
From Nathan?
No, from Lucas.
Oh, from Lucas.
In the promo.
It's hard to say. I'm not sure if she's going to be ready for that, so I could picture her pulling away.
Yeah, I'm sure she's gonna pull away. If they actually did kiss, that would be surprising. But because we're so early on, how they say it'll take Elizabeth to the end to make her decision, and because they're playing this whole thing so early on, I almost think that she's gonna change her mind and go back to Nathan. Do you have any ideas on the whole thing for the rest of the season?
Well, just based on even the previews for the next episode, it makes it feel like, yeah, she says she's chosen who she wants to date, but it does seem like she's still harboring feelings for Nathan. So yeah.
Yeah. So and also in the promo, Allie asks Nathan if he still likes Elizabeth as more than a friend, and I think he obviously does. He just like has to like wrestle with that.
Yeah.
Like, but then now the promos seems to just be all love triangle stuff and not showing like what any other characters are up to. And I just feel like the love triangles become. And there's a commercial like where Elizabeth was staring at two men. You said it was dumb because I feel like the love triangle seems to be taking up all the advertising for the show. It feels like it's just taking up the show too much and not giving enough time for other scenes. Overall, I think this episode was decent. The episodes this season have all kind of like been like on a certain level for me. I think the premiere was good. I think I want them to like raise up maybe a little bit in quality, but I think that they're leading to something. So anyways, anything else you want to say before we close?
I think I'm good.
So anyways, I want to thank everyone for watching Movie Studio. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on and post notifications so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching, and bye.